I'm Adam Bell, and this is our 1836 Battle of the Alamo. So we've been working on it probably since about 2017, and we started digitally working with somebody just back and forth on a studio file. And so when we got basically the look and feel, the design of the main section there, the chapel as everybody's familiar with it, I just kind of expanded in different sections. So we finished out the whole chapel there, and then we just kind of started going segment by segment until we got the full layout. So.
And the chapel section is the part that still kind of exists today, right?
Exactly, yeah. This is all a street and a shopping mall and tourist traps and all that, yeah.
Gotcha. So what's the overall size of this whole layout then?
So it's 9 by 10 base plates. So it's 90 of the 32 by 32 base plates. And it's eaten quite a few bricks because I wanted a little bit of elevation. It's such a flat, broad thing anyway that, I felt like I had to have the ability to do some elevation changes, do some of the ditches and some of the natural fortifications that they actually had back then. And then, of course, the acequia or the irrigation ditch around it as well.
So we can maybe start with this section over here closest to where we're standing and kind of talk about this and then move around the battlefield.
Sure, absolutely. So we've got a lot of the brick-built little cannons here, kind of modifications of some of the Brickmania cannons, if you remember some of those. So built those, and we've got a lot of the brick arms, bayonets and muskets and things of those nature. So this was, just a little scene we put together here of one of the first waves of the assault. That's right.
And as we're looking at the minifigs for both sides, talk about kind of some of the torsos and designs you use for each side here.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, so little guy here, he put together most of the Alamo defenders. So he just fig barf all over the house for months, really. So
what were some of your favorite minifigure pieces or parts that you used?
Some of my favorite minifigure pieces were mostly the hats. The hats were always kind of fun for me to put on because I could turn them and make them into a way that looked fun and cool. And most of the time it was the things that they were holding. I could very much differentiate the things that they were holding and the way that they were posed and how they looked.
I love it. So you put a lot of thought into this then and kind of creating each guy a little bit unique and with different, implements.
Yes, that is basically what I did. So I also built some cannons and most of the ladders too.
And you helped me a lot with the interior build with the landscape too.
Yeah, I did.
Putting down lots of bricks.
Uh-huh.
Great work. Thank you.
No, I appreciate it. Sure, buddy. Go ahead. This is Evan.
I'm Evan, and the another fun thing about this build was all the detail that we put into it. It's just I wasn't really much part of the detail, but I put down stuff like the grass and the smoke on the bomb craters, and the detail it perfectly shows the time period that they're in, 1836, and fun fact, that flag with 1824 on it, that was a theory from historians that the Texans put up that flag to show that Santa Anna was violating the Mexican Constitution.
Thank you. Good, historical context for the battle. Thank you.
Context and continuity, yes.
Yeah, no, we've tried to be pretty accurate, although you'll see some fun little things like Davy Crockett didn't actually fight a bear in the Alamo.
And a kid getting speared by a skunk.
Right.
Davy Crockett over there, right there, next to the two cannons. That's Davy Crockett.
Yep. So we've got mostly the soldiers are, of course, the pirate, Imperial soldiers, right? Yep. There's a robot Davy Crockett over there somewhere too.
Tomorrow, the full attack is going to begin tomorrow.
Right. It looks like there's quite an impressive attack going on right now, so we'll keep kind of moving our way around here. So you've got some buildings and kind of the wall here. What are some of these represent?
Yeah. So this is actually the compound, how it would have looked back in 1836. So we modeled it a lot after some of the historical research and the movies a little bit, yeah, and some of the artwork of people like Gary Zaboli and things like that. So
maybe one of the buildings. Obviously, the chapel back there, and this building actually reminded me of an idea that we had In one of the movies and in the beginning of the battle, the Mexicans actually used some of the houses outside the compound to live in, but during part of the battle of the night, the Texans actually went out and burned the houses, and the roof that's kind of a similar roof to the movie.
After that kind of thatched look on the roof, yeah.
And then as we move around the corner, then you've got some more of the kind of like rampart areas with lots more cannons and soldiers.
Yeah, no, this part of the actual compound wasn't fully repaired yet, so you've got a lot of earthworks and kind of improvised defenses there. This was one of the weaker areas of the actual compound.
Of course, the weakest is the palisade.
That's right, buddy.
It's a big dub.
Some little funny details here and there, like these two people, they're drinking a lot. They're drinking, and there's this guy right here. He got shot by the cannon.
And Landry actually had a concept that a traitor in the Alamo ranks would put a ladder for the Mexicans, but he's not here.
They took care of him, yeah.
There's so many different plot points happening throughout the build.
And somebody's getting scared by a snake.
Yep. No, that's been the really fun thing, is it's so large. It's such a great playscape, really, for the kids to just have fun with and use their own imaginations, because, of course, we don't really know what happened.
Right.
Everyone was killed in the battle, right?
Except for civilians.
So we take some creative license here and there.
We'll keep moving around to this section of the wall over here. Then, so you've got a lot of the Mexican troops advancing out here.
Yeah, so this is where, honestly, we had the most space on the build to actually do the assault. And we've actually borrowed some of the figs from some other lug mates here from the Houston Brick Club.
Like from Brickstone?
Yep. And so he's got some of his troops over here. This was actually where the cattle pen really was. So, again, a lot of this is tried to be placed historically in an accurate position.
I love the way you did the water over here with kind of that. Is that like sand green and then going out to the blue there?
Yeah, so my wife actually gets credit for a lot of that.
It was a whole family affair, working on this.
Exactly. No, this was the last section that we put together because there's no place really in the house to put it all together. So what we had to do was build it in different sections. And we had never put this last corner here with the rest of it. So that's what we were working on yesterday, was trying to fix some of the elevation differences that I messed up on, and then putting on all the water. Yeah, so this is really our first time to display something this big. So we're struggling with a lot of, beginner type things that we're learning. How do you get the tables level? Because there's 6 tables under here, and they're not perfectly level. So we've been fighting with that a little bit, but it's a good learning experience.
Yeah, no, that's very normal for every show. You've always got to deal with, the different sections of the build coming together, but also, like you said, the tables, everything being level. So you figure that out as you go along, and I think it certainly looks like it came together pretty good for you guys.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Originally, we thought we were going to have Technic pins connecting the different base plates. But the other thing we didn't realize is you can't really reach across when you're assembling something this big. I can't reach the center of it anymore. So they ended up getting in the way. So I had to remove a lot of the pins. Right.
We can't reach the banana there.
It's kind of inside the very middle building.
Yeah, he's stuck in there. We can't reach that. So it's just going to have to be a anachronistic banana.
So why the different colors, the blue and the red for the soldiers here?
Because we're pirate fans, and we originally had red coats, and Andrew calls blue coats, but now we're thinking that these are like different specialized units of the Mexican army. Like the blue and red are separate units of their army.
Like the blue are less sophisticated ones, ones with less experience that were thrown out into battle for just basically units, and the red ones are basically the highly trained ones, the ones that went through all their years of training, the ones that were put out there to do some actual damage.
I like that theory. I think that works well. We'll go with that. So let's move along to the final side over here then, as we walk around to the section that you mentioned at the very beginning, which is kind of the most well-known section, which still exists today as kind of a museum.
Yeah, no, exactly. And so this is the back half of it, and probably the highest point in elevation for the whole thing here. And obviously used a lot of tiles there. So we really did have this sort of earthen ramp going to the back that was a cannon firing platform back there. And so obviously the attacking armies are kind of avoiding that area because it's going to be hard to scale that.
It's really tall, and they don't have tall enough ladders, as you can see, like the cameraman's probably seeing.
Talk a little bit more about that build technique, because it gets very complex there with the tiles sticking out, but then also all of the different pieces you use in the walls themselves.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you've got a lot of different tiles. We certainly ended up getting tired of dark tan and tan. We've got a lot of that in here. But you've got bricks with studs on the side for most of those. And then there's some slope bricks to give yourself a little bit of more texture. Maybe a cannon hit the wall over here, knocked off a chunk of the masonry. And then the ramp itself, it's actually a pretty simple technique with just plates with tiles on top of it. And it's just propped up between the palisade bricks to give you the slope that we wanted to have.
And it works so well here, and all of I love the little like pointed palisade over there as well, kind of on the outside of that.
That's where Davy Crockett defended in the battle. That's where he was assigned, and that's why there's like a massive amount going for there. But if you'll notice, there's a cannon that can basically cut through the entire line. It's like they know that it's like the Texans know that they're going to attack there, so they paste a cannon to cut through.
Yep.
So as this whole build is coming together, I think you build it in different base plate sections. Was it hard to kind of keep the layout kind of continuous and make sure everything connected up?
Yeah, that was definitely one of our main concerns, but we wanted to have sort of a natural landscape, a little bit of slope here and there. So yeah, that was one of the hardest things to keep track of as you go from one section to another is this slope continuous or does it look off, right? So a lot of different slopes in here that we use to try to make these more gradual and natural looking features.
And it looks like you have a little bit of research material over here you might have used as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So this was really helpful in trying to plan everything out. So a lot of people have asked if it's perfectly to scale, and it's not. I did have to compress the scale a little bit so you can get an idea here how big it really would be at full scale. So I've had to shrink it down a little bit because obviously size is a concern here. But this particular book was really helpful in trying to go through. So essentially I've made a Lego model of a model. So this was Mark Lemon's book here.
Yeah, and you can see a lot of the inspiration for the different sections of the build then.
No, exactly, yep.
Yeah, well, it's a fantastic layout, obviously such an famous part of Texas history, so I think it fits very well for the show. Thank you for all your time and effort that all of you put into this here. We appreciate it.
No, it was a family effort for sure.